welcome to Arya Bark Podcast, Vlogmas 2020, day 30. How are you? I hope you're well. I'm weaving. I started at 12, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I think it was about 12:30. And it's now 4:30. 1 minute it was like 1 o'clock. Next minute, it was 4:30. Well, actually, I stopped at 3:30 and had something to eat, and I'm starting again. What have I been up to today? Managed to get some of my stash put on, well, some of the scrap stash put on Ravelry. So that was fun. I think I'll just add about a dozen a day and see how I got on. It's not exactly the most exciting job. What else have I been up to? Not very much. We had a little fluttering of snow earlier on. It is still absolutely freezing. What else? I have done absolutely zero knitting at all. So that's not been the greatest. However, I have done a fair wee bit of weaving. It is going to be France, is that coming through? So I'm just going to keep working on my practice. It's alright as weaving goes. I'm not going for spectacular, clearly, as I've just started. Plans for tonight. Now, can I move this without breaking my neck? So I'll move that down. Plan for tonight, I have a ribbon and I have a tape measure, and the plan for tonight will be to put the markings of this onto this. The crafty class I was watching says that if you use a ribbon as a tape measure, you can pin it and it will help you for measuring stuff. So I need to do that. So my Sharpies will be coming out, and that will be the plan for this evening. Mr. Bark very kindly, Mr. Bark finally came home last night. He eventually came in at 7:30. He left at 8:30. I did hear from him at 3:30 to say that he's been sent to an off supply, so God knows what time he's going to get home at tonight. I'll just keep weaving until finished this shuttle. And then I'll need to see. It's hard to tell how much I've got left. Maybe it wasn't the best idea using like wrapping paper as a backing. I really should have cut it. So that's going to be my plan. What else have I been up to? Not very much. Mr. Bark very kindly last night after dinner recorded his goodies. While I was editing it, I did have a thought that he may need to speak to our insurance company. Because there's a couple of the bits in that collection that are quite old, and let's face it, it's not like it's going to be able to get replaced. So that'll be his job. Totals are a pain in the backside. I may just have to abandon this year's starting totals. What else? I don't think there is anything else. I'll see if I can. That's my weaving. Obviously I'll show you it properly once I get it off here. I'm kind of hoping that I'm coming to the end. I'm pretty much ready to start. My edges are not too bad. However, the one thing I have noticed though is using drops cotton isn't working out too well, albeit none of the warp threads have broken. Some of them are starting to fray, so note to self, maybe no use that again. So I'm just going to keep on working on this. I think the plan is tomorrow is I'll do like a mini podcast, a mini vloggy podcast. Totals, showing what I've made. With any luck, I'll be able to show this. But we'll need to wait and see. As I said, I have absolutely no idea how much warp I've got left. which is why I'm making the tape measure, so that when I'm working on stuff I can see where I am. Is there anything else? I don't think there is. So I will say goodbye just now, and I'll pop in Mr. Bark's video. So I hope, like me, you will have a very crafty evening, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye!
Hello and welcome to Ryan Gas Designs podcast. So, starting at the top of my cabinet is my lovely gas meter that I got for my Christmas, and it was a coin operated gas meter. It's clearly been through the wars, but it is, for the wee label, it's actually from 1973, so it is a really old one.
Can you shut that door? No, okay, close up.
It's still got the wee coin mechanism in it that comes out, so you can see the workings inside it.
Is it supposed to?
I don't know. And it's a bit harder to get out. And
your bit's a bit far.
Sorry, I've got. And the old coin drawer.
That's a bit minging.
It's quite manky.
Could you sell it by it?
Probably.
What's the hobnob?
I'll fix that later. So it has been through the wars, so I think it adds character. Also on the top is an award I got for my work, which is, I don't know whether it shows up in the camera, but Special Recognition Award for 2018, Ryan Dow, British Gas Smart Installations and Metering, North Region. Might sound fancy, but basically what it was guys that were on our team in our area. You were to nominate somebody who you thought deserved the award. Now, the only reason I got nominated for this award was because none of the people on my team like having to do standby, like the emergency standby at nights, whereas I do. So I ended up taking quite a lot of the people in my team's standby and call outs at night. So in order to keep me on side, they decided to nominate me for the award to keep me happy, basically, so that I would still take their standby and out hours, which I thought was a bit cheeky, but I got to go down to Durham, so that wasn't so bad.
And no for an eye test.
And not for an eye test. My eyes are fine. And the next wee shelf down, various collection of wee things. So I've got an old gas fan. I'm not 100% sure what year those gas fans were, but I can kind of remember them for when I was young. And
they're 70s and 80s.
I would say 70s and 80s, because I would say 83, 84 I can remember those gas fans being about. I've got the old cards right up the back, and that was even earlier when the British gas fans were red, and at one point I think the ones in Scotland were actually green coloured, for what I can remember. And I also managed to collect a wee stamp that probably isn't very clear on there, but it does actually say Scottish Gas Board on it. So that's another wee thing I got.
What about your card at the back?
Oh, that was an old British Gas phone card. I'm not sure why I collected that. Thought it looked cool. And then down I got a wee Hornby train that says Scottish Gas Board on it. And my wee scout badge. Again, don't know why I collected that, because I'm not going to exactly sew it into my jumper, but again I thought it looked cool. It's a wee scout badge for the Scottish Gas, and it looks like it's got a wee wind turbine on it, so I take it was like a renewables badge type thing. And then my wee gas fan that Caroline got me,
£11.
But it's worth every pound of that £11 though. So again, that was the later versions of the Scottish Gas and British Gas vans. I've not been able to get a model of the current vans, but I think the current vans probably look a little better because I like the colour of blue a little better. In fact, the colour of blue is a lot more like the older ones. So I've got that. The picture up the back is from an old gasworks. Can't remember exactly what gasworks that is, but
I don't know on the back here.
I like the pictures of the old gasworks. No. I'd have to look up because when I bought it, it did have I should have printed out the date and the name of where that was from. And I didn't. But basically, I like the pictures of the old gasworks.
Right, make it see.
So this part is one of my favourite parts of the cabinet. So back in the old days, before it was known as British Gas, they were known as the Gaslight and Coke Company. So the Gaslight and Coke Company had various different gas companies all around the UK, and at a time they were all competing with each other, and they eventually all amalgamated and then got split into different gas board areas, and then that's when they became British Gas. So I've got a book that's basically the history of the Gaslight and Coke Company. So they actually originated in 1812, and I think 1949 was around about the time they all amalgamated and became British Gas. British Gas even currently have a technical operations procedures manual which, although gas safe registered engineers need to adhere to obviously gas safe policies and rules and that sort of thing, British Gas have their own policies and rules that go above and beyond the gas safe policies. So even yet British Gas have their technical operations procedures, which obviously is now all digital, but back in again the old days they basically had their own technical operations procedure. So this one was when it was Towns Gas, so I particularly like this one because obviously it was well before natural gas, obviously. And it's basically services, meters, appliances and their installation. And there's loads of, in fact if I look in this book, this one was for 1928, this book, and it basically gives you, there's pictures of meters and all the stuff that I really like in here without me trying to find all the bits and pieces, but it's all to do with the pipe work and water tanks and cylinders and gas mantles and all that sort of thing for back in those sort of days. So that one really interests me. And again, just like British Gas's current procedures manual, they've got the Gaslight and Coke Company service manual. This one's kind of falling to bits because it is so old, and I'm not 100% sure how old that one is.
There's no papers at the back here.
There was something in that. Let's see if there was a date on that one. There was a date somewhere on this. Mind there was the. Is that another one that had the old?
Oh no, was it no? Your gas manual had the past papers in the back yet?
I thought it was this one with the past papers in the back.
Was that no for the 50s?
Can't actually remember how old this one is, but looking at the book, well, the Gaslight and Coke Company was 1812
to 1949.
To 1949, so Town Gas, that one was probably a newer one than this one, so this one must be really old. I need to try and find out what the date is on that one, but again, I really like that book just because of how old it looks. But again, it's just the same sort of thing. It's to do with pipe work and meters and different gas appliances. And this is a more modern version of those ones. And again, this is one of the ones that Caroline got me. That's a manual of gas fitting. This one was 1968, which tells me that really old one, the one that said service manual, must be really ancient. And it's still got the fitter's name who that book was presented to. And again, that's got all the usual things about meters and pipe work and how to read the meters and all that sort of thing. So there's loads of stuff in that as well. And oh, this was the one, it's actually got the old examination past papers, City and Guilds in the back of it as well for the written paper and the practical exams and for the gas fittings. So basically the exams we have to sit nowadays, obviously that was the exams they had to sit at that time, and there's the old past papers and that because in immaculate condition, which there was a joke made about that, the British Gas never actually follow their own procedures and policies, which probably goes to show considering that book doesn't look like it's ever been touched. Bit at the back there's some electric stuff as well. It's an old prepayment meter card. So that basically had people's meter readings and how much money was in the meters and things like that as well. And I've also got my old advertising British Gas milk bottle, which said Wonder Fuel Gas. I can vaguely remember that, but that was a lot of years ago. That might even been before my time. And I also collected some old gift coins that British Gas done a lot of years ago. This was British Gas East Midlands Department. It was their distribution. So back in those days, British Gas dealt with the gas leaks, digging up the roads for distribution mains. They'd done a bit of everything at that time. And so that was the wee sort of, I don't know if it was like a centenary coin or something like that, but it was basically a coin that they gave away at that time. So I've got a couple of them. This one I particularly like because this one is a proper centenary coin, and that one was for the Gaslight and Coke Company. Again, it says on it 1812. Well, that says 1812 to 1912 on it, so that was a centenary. So I've got that wee coin in my collection as well, which I really, really like. There is also a wee leaflet in the back there when we went to Bigger Gasworks, which is Scotland's only last remaining actual working gasworks. Albeit they don't produce any gas, the gasworks is actually still fully functioning. So we've got a wee leaflet for when we went there.
Is your certificate still there?
Oh, if I can find it.
Is it not at the other side? Might be behind the gas fitting book. It is.
So, this is my prized possession, which actually basically says that I've tooted the whistle at Bigger Gasworks, and I got a certificate for that. I'll treasure that forever. I need to go back and toot their whistle again.
Damn you, COVID.
Damn you, COVID. So that's that
Yeah,
one.
gas fitting books on straight.
So that's that wee cabinet. Then further down, again, this is a lot of collection of stuff for the Gaslight and Coke Company. So a couple of things I collected were basically receipts, people paying for their gas for the Gaslight and Coke Company, and that was a sort of wee invoice come receipt, and that was basically dated 1939. So again, that's quite an old one that as well. Quite good condition for being 1939. I've got other ones as well, which I think were share certificates. Was it? No, that was another receipt for somebody having paid for their gas for the Gaslight and Coke Company, so that would have been around 1939 as well, or thereabouts, albeit I can't see a... Oh no, that one's actually 1890, because that says the bill was due March 1890, so that's a really, really old one as well. And I really like this one, because this was another one that I collected. Gaslight and Coke Company meter index card, so when they would come round to read the meters, whether it would be for how much money was in the meters, if it was a pay-as-you-go meter, but it was basically the meter reading card for when the meter reader would come round, and this one's actually dated the 18th of April 1932. So again, really, really old, and it does kind of like show its age as well. And that was when obviously a lot of the older meters had the dial readings instead of the digital or analogue indexes now. And so I've got that. One of the other wee ones, and I actually found this underneath somebody's gas meter when I'd taken it out. And this wee ticket was actually left behind, so this would have been around about the time when they converted all the properties, the meters and the gas appliances from town gas to natural gas, and this was one of the wee make safe cards they left behind at the gas meter. And I actually found that when I'd lifted somebody's gas meter, it was ancient, when I removed it, sitting stuck underneath the meter where nobody would have ever seen it, that was actually stuck, so I basically pinched that as well for my collection. And there's other wee sort of pictures up the back there.
You say pinch?
Nah, borrowed, never to return. And I've got an old leaflet. I'm sure this was the people who made the original tin case meters, so the dry meters and wet meters. I never actually knew this till recently, which is surprising, but the wet meters actually did have water in them to actually pump around the chambers for measuring the gas volumes. So I didn't actually realise what it meant by dry meters and wet meters, but that was basically the tin case ones, and it was our Laidlaw and Son in Edinburgh Limited, and they actually also had an office in Edinburgh. So that was...
If we ever get to go back to Wickard Gasworks, we
I know.
can
Ask them about it.
show it, because they've got a weight meter, if they know.
They've got the tin case meters, aye. So I've got just wee tickets and leaflets and receipts and that I've collected.
Can you move that glass through, or so I'm getting loads of reflection?
Put that back up. And then the last wee bit down the bottom is I've got a wee collection of badges for British Gas. I've met British Gas Eastern Friendly Gas people. Still got quite a lot of badges to collect, and I think one of their, before the times of Wilbur, their wee mascot was the wee blue flame guy. So obviously there is quite a few of the badges with the wee blue flame logo on them. And I think he was the Wonder Fuel wee gas guy for the milk bottle as well. So there's a few different British Gas badges. That one I actually got myself. This one, I don't know how well it comes on the camera, but
Give me a minute, I'll zoom in.
and the other badge, I got this one recently from British Gas. Obviously it's got the British Gas logo on it. It's when they partnered up with the Trussell Trust Food Bank. So during the height of lockdown,
First lockdown.
during the first lockdown, a lot of us, including myself, were furloughed because obviously the work that I do is mostly meter exchanges and the boiler service, and so obviously unless it was an emergency meter exchange, in general the meter exchanges and boiler servicing was classed as non-essential. So to limit the amount of contact we were having with people, because we could bin anywhere between 6 and 8 houses a day, a lot of us got furloughed. So while we were furloughed, British Gas asked us if we wanted to volunteer to help with the Trussell Trust. So during that time I worked with the food banks and helped them deliver food parcels and go to the supermarkets and do their collections, because at that time the Trussell Trust had lost a lot of their in-house volunteers, because a lot of them were elderly and having to shield, and obviously the food banks couldn't let anybody go to the food banks to collect their food parcels because of COVID. So we got asked if we would step in because we had the big fleet of vans to go and help deliver food parcels. So I got that wee badge for British Gas for helping with that, which was really, really good. So I'm really proud of that one. And that's pretty much my collection. More to be added soon.
More gas meters.
More gas meters.
And electric meters.
And electric meters. Yeah, that's my collection. Thank you for watching the Ryan Gas Designs podcast. Day 29, 2020.
It's not day 29, it's day 30.
Mind put fancy music at the end of my video.
Fancy music at the end of your video. You've not said bye.
Bye.